11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. What a fight! I think Parro won it.
Juan, the Hispanic causing panic, Lascano.
And thanks to those joining me live and those that have joined us here on the archive. Make sure you hit the like button if you're on YouTube. Hit that like button if you're on Twitter as well, X that is, and now it's anonymous, so you don't even have to show anybody liking it. If you're a secret fan, you continue to be a secret. There you go. You know what I mean? It is what it is. If you're a secret admirer and all that good stuff, so much to talk about. We're going to tackle a bunch of things here. But I just want to announce and let everybody know what look, and I apologize to those that have been asking. It should have been done a long time ago, but they've been asking, hey, when are you guys going to be on Spotify? When are you going to be on iHeart? When are you going to be on? I don't want to listen on YouTube. I want to listen on one of those other apps. It's more convenient for me, et cetera, for all the people out there that are working hard, Calix. You know what I mean?
I'm a hard-working man.
So now, while you're working hard and having those earbuds when you're at the gym, right? Mm-hmm. When you're pretending to listen to your girl, but you got the earbud in the other ear, you know what I mean? And or whatever it is, which is making you watch that boring ass movie, but you don't really want to watch it. You want to listen to HCP instead. There it is. You can listen on Spotify, iHeart, or we'll be getting on. We're going to be working on the iTunes and Apple Podcasts as well.
The time is now. The time is now.
We're going to be on the Amazon podcast stuff. We're going to be just Podbean, whatever your preferred one is. We're on most of them. So that's the HCP Boxing Network is the name of the audio. So the time is now. We're on audio too. You know
What's your boy say? The time is now.
That's right. You know what I mean? And in the words of Mills Lane, not McCartney, let's get it on. All right. So that's all I got to say. All right. They should pay. They should have been paying to the estate of Mills Lane every time they use that line in the UFC. I'm just saying, right? Yeah. But I want to start off, Calix. Did you know? Did you see what Matchroom did?
Oh my God, it's terrible.
I mean, who does Eddie Hearn think he is, bro? I mean, the audacity of Eddie Hearn to not bid on the Haney Martin fight. And then Top Rank just spit in the face of Devin Haney and just do, what was it, 2.1, 2.2 million, whatever it was?
2.4. 2.4.
They were the only promoter in the world. By the way, when they do these purse bids, anybody, including PBC, anyone's allowed to. Me and Callis could get some money together and do a purse bid if we want. We could throw in some money, right? As long as we meet the minimum or whatever it is, right? Top Rank were the only ones that said, well, you know what? Yeah, we'll put we'll put $2 million of our money, in the fight. Sure, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
No one else bid, and Haney's reaction is on Twitter, out in the open. He gets angry at. I forgot exactly what he posted. I don't know if you remember what he posted, but he got angry that they didn't. Matchroom didn't even bid. How dare they?
Mm-hmm. So nasty nasty work. Yeah, nasty work is what it was to Matchroom, and then. To Top Rank, it was I should have paid for this myself, and I should have bid on this myself, and he should have. He's got a promotional company, right? So he should have bid on it himself, right? So
he's always saying, Tito, if he wants to fight, if Shakur wants to fight, they need to talk to Aaron. I don't need to talk to nobody. I have my own promotional company.
I'm my own boss.
Yeah, well, what happened to the flexing and the purse bid, bro?
Yeah, what happened? So I talk about often how the Haneys have been running their careers well up to this point. You got to give them credit, right? Because as you've talked about this often, how they're artificially driving up the price of fighters, and the Haneys have been taking advantage of this. And we would both argue he's been getting overpaid for fights, right? And how dare us, right? Because that's going to make us haters. That's going to make us all kind of names, right? That he's been overpaying. But at the end of the day, you're being overpaid, but you're worth what you're worth, and he's worth what he's getting. So, but that goes the other way too. The positive of doing these short-term deals, 2-fight deals, 3 fights at the most, is you're able to keep your freedom. You can bounce around. You can, if you do well, you can come back to the table and get multiple bids from multiple promoters. They can bid against themselves to get your services. But the negative of that is if things don't go well for you, then your price goes down. And there's a yin and a yang to this. You can do the opposite. You can do what Bud Crawford did for years and Shakur Stevenson has been doing at Top Rank and getting your high minimum, right? $6 million per fight, $3 million per fight, $8 million, whatever it is. There's a negative to that too, right? But there's also a positive. So there's positives and negatives to all of them. What I'm saying is, look, it used to be common to have these in-between fights. Not everything is a big fight, right? Not everything is a big fight. You shouldn't be getting paid big fight money for every fight. And this is where we are with Haney. If you're going to come back against Sandor Martin and it gets to a purse bid, $1.5 million is what you'll make for the Sandor Martin fight. What are you expecting for that fight? What are you expecting people to bid? And if you're mad at the bids, bid on it yourself, right? You have a promotional company. But on top of that, I'm getting tired of the entitlement. It's the entitlement of the young American fighters in particular. Teofimo Lopez feels like he deserves $100 million for a fight in the Sphere. You're not entitled to that. You're entitled to whatever the market says you're entitled to. And right now, the market is saying Devin Haney isn't entitled to more than $1.5 million for a Sandor Martin fight. And if you want to drop the belt, go ahead and do it. If you feel like, as Rick Maresian is trying to tell people online underneath my post in the comment section, and Devin Haney is quote tweeting and saying, Rick understands. If you feel like you can make $3 million plus for a tougher fight, go ahead and do it. If the market dictates that you're worth that, go ahead and do it. Nobody's saying anything about that. All we're saying is you don't deserve more than $1.5 million for Sandor Martin because the market has dictated that you don't. And I'm tired of being demonized as a boxing fan for speaking like a boxing fan, right? Glenn Jennings will come on here and talk to you, right? And you'll bring up the boxing fan perspective and say, are you worried about the pushback that this isn't pay-per-view worthy? And Glenn will give you the manager perspective because he's supposed to. He's a manager. A promoter is supposed to speak like a promoter, a manager like a manager. The power brokers, the fighters are supposed to speak like fighters. But the boxing fans are the only ones who are demonized for speaking like boxing fans. If I say, dude, you're not, this isn't pay-per-view worthy, what do? They'll say, butt out of the business side of it. You're a boxing fan, and to you it's a sport, so speak about the sports side of it. Okay, fair enough. And then I do that, and then when I speak like it's a sport, that this fighter should fight this fighter because they're at the top, they'll then want you to reel back in and talk about the business side and bring up the business side, right? That the economics don't work there. What do you want me to do at this point? What am I supposed to do as a boxing fan at that point? I don't know. And this is why people just walk away.
You know what's funny, Calix, is that when we demand things, when we want things, when we talk about things we want, we get laughed at. Right, it's funny. Like, oh, you guys think that you dictate what you guys think you have a say. Boxing, it's a business, and you guys, you're gonna take whatever you take and buy whatever you're given. And if you don't, then you're a horrible fan. You guys don't decide nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have no say. Nobody listens to what you have to say. These boxing fans, they don't know anything. They're a bunch of idiots. They're just boxing fans. You know what I mean? We need more of them to survive the sport, but who cares? Look at these Neanderthals so hanging around, not realizing that they're going extinct. You know, look at them. They think people listen to them. Look at these idiots. They think, but then when we critique and we say, hey, we just point out the truth, like, well, that's what you're worth. That's what they offered, right? All boxing fans, they're the worst. Oh, you see, this is the reason boxing has the problems it has, because the boxing fans are you. Like, now it's your fault.
Yeah.
But when we want things, you don't have a say. It doesn't matter what you think. What the fans think doesn't matter anyway, right? Leonard Allerby, who we'll talk about in a little bit, by the way. Leonard Allerby, just what would he always say? Oh, the fans don't know. We know what we're doing. Just sit back, relax, let us do what we do, right? Yeah. But then when things don't go the way they expect, when they want sympathy from the fans and they don't get it, we're the bad guys.
Yep.
Fuck you. How about that? Right? How about if we don't matter and you want to laugh at us when we're demanding things and wanting things and our opinion doesn't matter anyway, we're just speaking out to the wind, we're just screaming at the abyss. Right? We don't know what we're talking about, and what we say doesn't matter anyway, right? Then why do you care when we point out the reality of the situation afterwards? And when you want the sympathy from the fans, all of a sudden we matter, right? Yep. When Devin Haney wants people to tell him, oh, man, I can't believe they're doing this to you, champ. That's all they offered you? Oh, the disgrace. You guys do realize that anybody on the planet could have bid on that fight. All they need is a promoter's license, and they could have bid on that fight. PBC didn't bid on that fight. Matchroom didn't bid on that fight. Golden Boy Promotions didn't bid on that fight. Nobody bid on the fight.
Haney Promotions didn't bid on his own fight.
Haney Promotions didn't bid on it. And you know why? Because he knows he wants somebody else to take the loss.
Yep.
The money wants, they're going to lose money. If you're willing to lose it, then you bid on it. Whoever's out there, then you bid on it. Get together. All you Haney fans, work with, go do a GoFundMe for Haney Promotions, okay? Gather up all your money, okay? Get all your super chat, all these, pro Haney channel that are crying about it. Like, I can't believe they did that to the champ. Y'all get together with your super chat money, your cash app money, get it all together. You bid on the fight, right? How about you do it instead of telling Ed Hearn what to do with his money? Are you kidding me, bro? He doesn't want to bid on it. He doesn't have to bid on it. He's not entitled to anything, and he's not signed to Matchroom. So too bad, bro. Nobody wants to invest on anything. By the way, guys, give us feedback on the audio, if it's low or not. I think the audio is fine.
I'm hearing you good. I'm hearing you normal. Yeah. So three quick points. This is why I like a free market. This is why I like a purse bid, because it gives us the best sort of view on what the free market is actually doing, right? So a promoter is going to bid what they feel like the fight is worth. So the market is saying that this is worth $2.4 million total, and Devin Haney doesn't like it, and Devin Haney has the right to not like it. Whining about it is something different, but he has the right to walk away from it if he feels like he can get more money elsewhere. And then Sandor Martin, who has been paid step-aside money in the past, and they're not going to do that again, has the right now to fight for the title against someone else. And then Devin Haney can go somewhere else, and if he feels like he make twice the amount of money, as Rick Maresian says, nobody's arguing with that, by the way, if he feels like he make $3 million plus somewhere else, go do it. And that's what the free market is pushing him to do. If you feel like you're worth more money than that, then you have to fight a tougher opponent. That's what the free market is telling him, and that's what we've got. The second point is when a pay-per-view goes well, you'll see the Steven Espinosas, the Leonard Ellerbys of the world, all these guys, right? All the power brokers will dance and do cartwheels and backflips and praise themselves, right? They'll pat each other on the back about how well the promotion was and look at what we did. But when the pay-per-view bombs, what happens? They blame us, the fans. Is you guys don't support, you don't know what's best for you. We did everything right. It's you who did things wrong. So we always take the blame.
But when we tell them what we want, They laugh. They think it's funny. They're like, "Oh, what do you know? You don't know anything about the business of the Bible. What do these guys know?" And like, bro, what do you mean? Okay, imagine like a girl tell you, like, "Hey, I love flowers. No, I like chocolates. Nah, no, you don't. I like to go out. Go eat. I'm not that. You don't have to take me to a fancy place. I'll go to Starbucks with you. No, you don't. Like, shut up. You know what I mean? And then what happens? She finds another dude that does that for her.
It's the dating market.
I can't believe you did this to me. Like, I told you what I like. No, you don't know what you like. Like, what do you mean? Like,
no other sport behaves this way, where the people who run the sport openly and actively, transparently just go online and destroy and speak down on the consumers. I don't understand it. I don't get that. And other fans, that's the sad thing. You have boxing fans who have Stockholm syndrome and will take up for the power brokers and fighters at the expense of other boxing fans just saying what we want. It's sad. And then the other part of this is, once again, you live and you die by this stuff. Look, remember when Devin Haney offered Shakur this 25% deal or whatever it was, right? He lowballed him on this apparent deal that probably didn't exist. But look, same thing's happening to you here. You're still getting the lion's share of the money. They're just saying you're not worth this for this fight. That's what they're saying. And the entitled fighter is lashing out at that. The market is telling you, dude, if you want this type of money, the type of money you feel like you're worth, you got to go fight, suffer opposition. And that's he's got to deal with that.
I mean, that's the way of the win. That's life. You know what I mean?
That's it.
Like, if you don't like it, nobody's stopping Devin. Nobody stopped Devin Haney Promotions from making an offer to Sandor Martin, and you know what you're worth, so you'll pay yourself, and you know what you're going to sell on tickets, you know what you're going to sell on pay-per-view, you know what money you're going to bring in. So nothing's stopping you from doing that. Just like De La Hoya, when De La Hoya knew what he was worth and he left Top Rank, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the first Golden Boy Promotions card where he was the headliner was the Mayorga fight. I could be wrong about that, but I know for sure it was the Floyd fight, right? So like, he knew what he was worth, so he gambled on himself because he knew his market value, right? Floyd, same thing. Once Floyd kind of understood like what he was kind of worth, he kind of knew, okay, I don't really need Top Rank no more. He kind of moved on. Well, Devin Haney, you're in a position where if you think, then you must think that Matchroom doesn't know your value and they're fucking up here, right?
Yeah.
That they must not realize the amount of money they can make with you. So why don't you take advantage of that and you make profit out of it? Why don't you do that? You know what I mean? Why didn't you bet on yourself? Why didn't you? We always hear that term, right? Betting on yourself. That's literally what you do when you promote your own fight. But you're not doing that. It seems to me like this Haney Promotions thing isn't really a promotional company, right? That's what it seems like to me, right? It's something used to your advantage, and I get it. But I also think it's just something that you like to, like, how he talks to the other fighters when he's like, oh, I have my own promotional company. They have a boss, right? So why are you worried about it? Well, why are you looking for your boss, Eddie Hearn, to put up money for you?
Yeah. You shouldn't need him. And Eddie's been respectable about this. He just said, this fight's not worth that. We would do business with Haney in the future if the price is right. We've done it in the past. I feel like they've overpaid him for some fights, but the last part about this, I would say, is the good news for these fighters like Devin Haney, and Devin Haney seems to be alluding to it online, is they still got Turki Al-Sheikh, right? So Turki Al-Sheikh is going to artificially drive up the price of the market. He's going to pay the fighters that he deals with well above their free market value. And that's good news for the fighters. And for the fans, in the meantime, short term, it's going to work out too, because we don't have to hear about the obstacles, and he could just wheel and deal and make the fights. Fair enough, if he's got it like that. But that's the good news for these fighters, is they don't have to deal with the free market if they're dealing with Turki Al-Sheikh. Nando's talking about this, and I've seen it online, and I see the ticket sales for the LA card August 3rd are not doing well so far for the Bud Crawford card. So it is what it is. It is what it is.
So I just want to help some people out in the chat. Look, nobody likes changes. Okay, I get it. Okay, there's people saying you can't get the full screen. You can, but this is the full screen right here, right on a mobile phone. It's made to look at it like this, right? You can see a chat in the bottom. Even if you like that's just the way it looks, right? It is what it is. I get it. It's not for everybody. It's a change, but this is the look we're going to have for now. Okay. So it is what it is. If it doesn't work out in the long run, we'll change it. But this is the route we're going, guys. And the reason we're going this way is because this is it is a full screen. Like, what do you mean, HLD? I just showed it to you. It's a full screen. But it's a different format, right? But either way, this is the format that YouTube is starting to push. It's just that YouTube viewers you're not used to. I wasn't used to it at first either, right? They're kind of using the TikTok live format, right? And this is where they're going, because TikTok's been kicking YouTube's ass with lives a lot. So this is where it's going, and we're just trying to reap the benefits of it, right? So it is what it is. If it doesn't work out, we'll obviously always switch, but apologies if anybody's eyes are being bothered right now. I empathize with you, but hopefully you can still hear us out. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. So it is what as far as the background mode, Lennox, that's definitely a concern, and I'll look into that for sure. All right, because I know background mode is very important for people so they could keep listening to the show while doing other things. So I appreciate the feedback. So Calix, speaking of promotional companies. And speaking, Leonard Allerby has decided, according to Mayweather's post, that he's going to go and spend time with his family. He has other things to do. I think he's going to keep working with Tank Davis, quite frankly, but okay. And Richard Schaefer is now in, I guess, with Mayweather Promotions. Leonard Allerby was denying the rumors a couple days prior, calling it nonsense. People don't know what they're talking about. He was flat out denying that he was out of Mayweather Promotions, but obviously he's out, which is why I question the whole that Leonard stepped down to spend more time with his family. Like, why would he be denying it? I don't know. The whole thing's kind of weird to me. I personally believe he was fired. I think Mayweather got rid of him. And it's Mayweather. It probably is for a petty reason. The reasons he should have fired him, in my opinion, this is my opinion, right? Is because he wasn't doing anything with Mayweather Promotions. You had fighters signed under Mayweather Promotions frustrated. There was no Mayweather Promotion events since I think late 2021 or late 2022. They haven't done any events. They haven't done anything with PBC, quite frankly. So that is what it is. You know what I mean? So, Calix, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, he's spending time with his family, right? But I think what a lot of this there's petty reasons for sure as well. But it seems to me that you have promotional companies, both big and large right now, trying to angle themselves into working themselves into Turki Al-Sheikh's global boxing business some kind of way, right? This thing is going to, if it comes off this way anyway, the way they're planning, it's going to dwarf everything else in boxing, every other promoter, and they're going to have to play ball with him. So I think promotional companies, outfits, both big and small, are trying to figure this thing out and trying to angle themselves in the best position to sort of work within this big boxing sphere that Turki Al-Sheikh is going to have, and at the same time work independently of it as well. So I actually think for Mayweather Promotions, it is a smart move to LA and hire someone competent and a Richard Schaefer other than someone who is just a figurehead in Leonard Allerby, right? That's definitely a step up. But I think with Mayweather Promotions, they haven't, I don't want to say this, but you got to say it. And I think everybody understands what Mayweather Promotions has been, right? It's just a washing machine outfit that's washing money for Al Heyman and PBC, right? And since the PBC is obviously changing, and you see that, right, is 3 fights in 7 months, 3 cards in 7 months, all pay-per-views so far, and they're not what they were. And I think there's been a change at the top as well. And on top of that, you see fighters having to go to other platforms, other networks to fight because they don't have the dates, they don't have the budget. So PBC has obviously changed, and PBC doesn't have the budget coming in, the flow of money to wash through Mayweather Promotions. So Mayweather Promotions has to act like a regular outfit now, a regular promotional company. So things have to change there. They don't have other people doing the hard work for them anymore, as they just take a percentage of the money coming in. So I think that's what's happening. And Leonard Ellerbe is just I'm sure there were a lot of things going on behind the scenes before this little last dust up between him and Tank Davis and Floyd Mayweather. And obviously Mayweather Promotions has nothing to do with Tank anymore, but I tend to agree with you that Leonard Ellerbe will stick around as some sort of advisor to Tank because Tank seems to like him.
Yeah, look, Richard Schaefer coming in is very interesting. I personally don't think Richard Schaefer gets enough credit for his work with Golden Boy Promotions. Now, I don't know if you could help me. Remember the 85 Bears? Yeah, Ditka, and then you had his I don't know if it was offensive or defensive coordinator.
Buddy Ryan.
Buddy Ryan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when they split, like none of them really found like the same success anymore. Like you know what I mean? I feel like that's that same situation with Schaefer and De La Hoya and then they had the matchmaker Roberto Diaz. Like they were a well-oiled machine, right? When Richard Schaefer was running the ship, because he was the CEO, and Oscar has admitted that he was on a coke binge, he wasn't around. Oscar has openly admitted this, right? For anybody saying, "Oh no, it was Oscar doing everything, Schaefer didn't do nothing," that's not true. By Oscar's own admission, right? So like I don't know if Mayweather is just doing this to slight Ellerbe, because again, he's a very petty guy, but I know Schaefer's a serious guy, right? Schaefer has proven that with someone else's name, he's able to build something. That's what he did with Golden Boy Promotions, right? Yeah. So can he do the same thing with Mayweather Promotions? I don't know, but I know that I still remember when he got the big sponsorship deals with AT&T and with Golden Boy Promotions, and they were having a lot of success, right? So if you think of the best years of Golden Boy Promotions, Richard Schaefer was involved, right? Mm-hmm. So now maybe, I don't know, I still think it's a petty firing from Floyd, and he's kind of hiring Richard Schaefer in the process. But a lot of the things Leonard Ellerbe took credit for, like, oh, I've been involved with Floyd and I helped do those big pay-per-view events, and Leonard didn't do anything. Okay, all those the Mosey pay-per-view, the La Hoya pay-per-view with Mayweather, the Canelo pay-per-view with Mayweather, all those big events at the height of Golden Boy where Richard Schaefer was the CEO. He was the main guy in charge. So maybe maybe he could get Mayweather Promotions to a point where they're at least doing events and they're at least, getting something done instead of just kind of being a washing machine company.
Yeah, they have to sign fighters, D-style. They got to sign. They got Carmel Mouton as a prospect, but he hasn't fought in 3 months and nothing planned.
Here's my thing. Okay. You have fighters openly saying, I'm signed with Mayweather Promotions, I got nothing going on. And then you've got Leonard Ellerbe saying he's got nothing to do with it. Like, you're the CEO of Mayweather Promotions.
Yeah.
What do you mean you don't know? Like, are you kidding me, bro? Right?
They want him. They want him. Obviously, he's a figurehead, but for all the great things that have been done. But then when something bad, it's back to the same thing we talked about. When something bad happens, D-style, then it's not his fault. It's not anybody's fault. Nobody's going to take credit for any of it. Ultimately, Mayweather Promotions needs to sign some fighters. They need to stop the bleeding because they have fighters who have left and are wanting to leave. And, obviously the power structure in boxing has changed and everybody's trying to get ahead of it or catch up to it in some cases. And I would argue in Mayweather Promotions case, they're trying to catch up to the power structure changes because, look, it's all about adapting in life, D-style. To be successful, you have to adapt. And the people who adapt can stick around. The Bob Arums of the world have stuck around because they can adapt.
You got to adapt, and that is that. You know what I mean? Like, you have to adapt. For those wondering, some people are kind of explaining a way you could, you could still listen and all that. Okay, so it is what it is. We're all learning here, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, it is what it is. We appreciate the feedback, though, good or bad. It is what it is. We don't get mad. You know what I mean? Calic's just a little mad, but
I'm angry.
That's okay. But it is what it is with that. Okay. Let's talk about David Benavidez. David Benavidez. Right. To get a David, I need to talk about Gvozdyk really quick. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think anyone who's followed Alexander Gvozdyk's career to any degree, right? And it's my opinion, I feel that he's not the same fighter. I went in like thinking if we just don't know what Gvozdyk we're gonna get, because I don't know what to make of those 3 fights last year. It's he got the cobwebs off, so we can't say it was rusty, right? But here's the thing. I honestly believe this. If you look at Gvozdyk fighting Adonis Stevenson, not only was he younger, obviously, right? He's throwing that right hand with conviction. The jab is popping. He's punching, as they call it, through the target, right? Something unfortunate happened in that fight when he knocked out Stevenson. Stevenson, and this is the risk of boxing, and it's a brutal sport what we're watching. But he wasn't he was hurt really bad. We put him in a coma. Until this day, Stevenson, he isn't 100%, right? He retired. I'm glad Stevenson's at least alive and he's been given rewards by like the WBC and all that's great. But I think that fight, Calix, messed with Gvozdyk's head, right? I think it does something to a fighter when you hurt somebody that bad. And it's not that they don't recover from it, but even like Matias, even like when he lost his fight after Dadashev, he said it was messing with his head what happened in that fight. That's why he performed so poorly, and then he won the rematch. And I think like I believe that's why he's not throwing the same. Like he's a boxer. He's been boxing his whole life. You could see the fundamentals are there, and he's landing the right hand at times, but it's almost like he's just not punching through the target anymore. He's flicking the jab, and it's like a lazy jab. Once in a while, he pops it. He's just not throwing the same. It's like a mental. He can't pull the trigger like he used to, in my opinion. And then you add on that the fight with Beterbiev, where he took a complete beating in the last few rounds of that fight. He looked like a defeated fighter, like he had enough, and Teddy Atlas just kept pushing him out there. And that's a fight where I think was his last like attempt to really punch through the target, and he couldn't get that target out of there, and he paid the price dearly because Beterbiev punished him, right? And now, so this is a fighter that has experience on both ends of the spectrum. He's not only 37 years old, right? Not only has he not fought a high-quality fighter since Beterbiev, right, years ago, he's also a fighter that has experience damaging a fighter's career, and that could have messed with his head. And he's also experienced the beatdown that he received against Beterbiev. I don't want to like just say he's a shot fighter, but he's clearly not the same fighter. And I think that's what we saw. And this was a fight. It was all about timing. There was a reason this fight was made. And even though I think Benavidez looked good, even he knows he didn't live up to the expectations because he's bringing up the hand, he's bringing up the cut, he's bringing up like he wasn't at his best, and it seems some people are calling it excuses, right? It wasn't Benavidez' best. It was a good performance, but it wasn't his best performance. And there's nothing I saw in that fight that made me say, "Oh man, Canelo's in trouble now."
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, Canelo better watch out. Like nothing that screams that. And one more thing, Alex, there was times where Benavidez would miss a punch wide, right where his arms across his shoulder, and that whole torso is exposed. And I couldn't help to think to myself, if that was Canelo, one shot, he probably gets 2 hooks in there. Boom, boom, like this. And that body looks soft to me, by the way.
Yeah.
And Gvozdyk just isn't a body puncher like that. So it makes you wonder if that was Canelo in there and is hitting the body, what then? Right? So those are my thoughts on that fight.
So I would go further with Gvozdyk. I think he's washed. I said it before the fight. I thought he was a bit washed, but I think he's washed. I think he's a washed 37-year-old fighter. And this looked like a sparring session to me. That's what I was thinking as I was watching it. What made me think that was when David was clearly having issues in the second half of the fight. You started to see it pop up in the 7th round. You started to see him put his back against the ropes a lot, right? And we don't normally see that from Benavidez against smaller opposition, but he started to put his back against the ropes, looked a bit tired. His mouth started to open up a bit and was not throwing those combinations with the same conviction. It was not throwing the same combinations as often as well. It just wasn't him coming downhill like normal. And I said, okay, this is clearly the Gvozdyk game plan, right? Is they know him from sparring with him, so they know him. Go after him in the second half of the fight. Wear him down a little bit, right? That's obviously Gvozdyk's best trait at this point. His best trait is his chin. He's still got that. Even after the Adonis Stevenson fight, even after the tough Better Be a fight, which he was winning on scorecards, by the way, but was obliterated late in that fight. Even after that, he still has a chin. He has a hell of a chin. And the game plan was to get him in the second half of the fight and then step on it, I assumed anyway, but he never stepped on it at all. So it's either a sparring session type of fight or it's Gvozdyk is completely washed and cannot take advantage of the deficiencies of David Benavidez, which were glaring in the second half of the fight. Absolutely glaring. Sloppy footwork. As you said, some sloppy punches to where he left himself completely open, and then taking a lot of breaks, laying on the ropes a lot in the second half of the fight, mouth wide open. And it was clear that if you have a live opponent in front of you, that they could have taken advantage of Benavidez in the second half of that fight. Or maybe it's Benavidez didn't respect Gvozdyk coming in, and let's get a sparring session in. Let's get 12 rounds in at 175 and not drain ourselves to 168. But either way, that's not good because you want to put on performances at this point. You're trying to build a super fight at the end of the day. And it doesn't seem like, and this is my problem with Benavidez throughout his career up to this point, he doesn't seem to want to do his part of the deal to build the super fight. There's one thing to be deserving of it, but to build it to where it needs to get, super fight, to wherever even the casuals are concerned about the fight. Even the casuals want to see the fight. This is the second Benavidez fight I've had where, my wife and I seem to be like the neighborhood party house to where we'll just throw random parties, casual parties at the last minute and people will stay. And that's what happened Saturday is we had people over and I ordered the fight. I had 2 TVs on. I had the Zone on one, the pay-per-view on the other in the living room. And by the 4th round, Benavidez cleared him out. Like nobody was concerned. Nobody was watching it. And I tried to build it up that this guy's an exciting fighter, but nobody was interested. And that's not what you want to see from a guy who is trying to build his way into a super fight and become a star. And that's what I didn't see. I didn't see it. It was uninspiring. It was normal. It was mundane. It was average. It was just average. It didn't do anything for me. And I think he needs to move back down to 168 because I think that's where his aura is. I don't think he has that same aura at 175. I think it's embarrassing that they were saying he could move up to cruiserweight and beat Jaya Opetaia. I think it's embarrassing Jim Lampley saying he could be a heavyweight at some point. I think his whole And look, he's more talented than Chavez Jr. I'm not trying to make the connection there as far as talent, but Chavez Jr. had a good run at middleweight. And then when he moved up, when he couldn't do it anymore, the whole aura went away. And it's the same thing I feel with Benavidez. When he moves up to 175, that aura goes away. He needs to drain himself down to 168. I don't know how long he can do that. And he's got to get back with Memo Heredia. That was clear and evident. He looked soft. He looked slower, noticeably slower and sloppier in this fight. And he looked noticeably more tired.
You know, you make a good point about, and I get your point as far as him not impressing in the ring. And you have like an example of people that were at your house and they were just like,
Caleb Plant fight, the same thing. Caleb Plant fight, the same thing. They were over at my house and it was like, nah, they're not really interested.
So like my thing is this, right? Here's where I don't know who's advising. Like I know some of the people that work with Benavidez, but to me, is this: I think his father is going about it the wrong way, and it's not what people are going to immediately think, right? Just so bear with me. I don't think Samson's going about it the right way. I don't think David's going about it the right way. And what way am I speaking? First of all, they've been flip-flopping, right? Back and forth, respecting Canelo, disrespecting Canelo. Canelo's scared. No, I don't think he's scared. He's just waiting to, like, you're giving mixed messages. You're saying he's scared of you. He doesn't want to fight you. But then in other interviews, you say, no, I think the fight's going to happen. I just think he knows I'm the toughest fight and he's saving me for last. So you can't, first of all, you can't be giving mixed messages to people, right? Because if you're saying that, then you're saying he's trying to make the fight bigger so you both could make more money is what you're saying, right? You can't say the guy doesn't want to fight me because he's scared, right? The guy doesn't want to, like, and then you can't say things like, well, I didn't go to the ring because why would I go to the ring for, right? If he went into the ring after my fight, I would have slapped him. Really? So Saul Canelo Alvarez got in the ring. Like, don't lie. If Saul Canelo Alvarez entered the ring after your fight, you're going to go up to him and slap him and then they'll ruin the whole thing. No, you're going to say, oh, hey, you want to fight, champ? You want to do this fight or what? That's what you do. What do you like? Those messages just aren't, nobody buys that. And here's the biggest one. You can't say what you want about Canelo. He has a fan base that pays, okay? They take this out and they pay, okay? That's what they do. You can say whatever you want about the numbers. They've gone down over the years. That's really everybody. But he's still the face of boxing, right? You can't go do an interview, right? And say things like, and again, even in that whole thing, you're giving mixed messages. But like, yeah, I think it's disrespectful to the fans. You know that he's just telling them he can fight wherever he wants, but his fan base, they're occults and they're dumb and they're gonna buy whatever he does anyway. So whatever. Like, why are you talking down to a paying fan base that is majority Mexican American? That's the fan base you want. Why are you saying they're dumb and nobody? That's not the message you should be putting out. Like, I just don't understand here. Like that message, Cali, it's mixed because first you're saying it's disrespectful to the fans. You care so much about the fans. You can also give the fans the best fights, and then you say, yeah, but you know what? His fan base, they're a cult, and they're going to defend and buy whatever he gives them anyway, right? I just think labeling, and this happens a lot, labeling all Canelo fans like the extreme fan base, like, because every fighter has an extreme portion of the fan base, all fighters, right?
Yep.
Canelo has the biggest fan base, so obviously his extreme supporters are going to stand out more, right? David just doesn't have a big fan base, so his extreme supporters don't really stand out. But the reality is, a majority of those people that are buying it are fight fans. And they're paying fight fans. It's not just a pay-per-view. Look at the gates, Calix. Look at the money they pay for to go to the fights. You don't, in any way, shape, or form, talk down to the fan base that you want. You want that Mexican-American fan base, David. And you can't tell me you have it right now because you're just not a big draw like that. You have some fans. You have a fan base, but it's not a really big fan base. What are your thoughts on him when he did that interview when he said that? In my mind, I'm thinking like that's like a PR nightmare to me.
Yeah. I thought the publicist needs to get a hold of that because there's no need to go after the base. The first 22 seconds were directly addressing the base of that 59-second clip. And there were so many things where he's talking about himself as he's talking about Canelo. Khan outweighing Khan by 25. When I heard that, I was like, are you serious? Are you talking about a weight bully? You talking about somebody outweighing somebody 25 pounds on fight night? Are you serious? You're talking about a guy charging people pay-per-views for fights that aren't pay-per-view worthy. But there's a bigger problem here that I see, and it's all too confusing. It's not easy enough to follow. And we talk about all the time how we're currently in, your model needs to be simple, not complex. The world is going to simple, and if you're complex, you're going to be losing. When I see, and shout out to Remy, $2 super chat, Callis, your neighbors might start saying no mas. they might, but the interim belt thing. So when this fight was announced, they tried to pitch it as, look at what he's doing, going up to 175 to fight somebody who's with Eddie Reynoso, and he's going to go up there and beat up on Eddie Reynoso's fighters, and then he's going to move up to 175 because Canelo won't play ball, and he's going to be the interim champion in 2 weight classes. That way he has 2 different options, right? And he may even go after the Bivol Better Biev winner. But then directly after this fight, what happens? Immediately, he says 168, going back down to 168. So it was never the intentions to stay at 175. That was never the intentions. The intentions were, I believe, to get an easy fight at 175 to where you don't have to drain yourself down to 168 and avoid another guy at 168 that you don't want to fight. And that was another thing about that soundbite that I found interesting is he brought up David Morrell Jr.'s name when it came to Canelo avoiding Morrell Jr. when Morrell Jr. has specifically said, I want Benavidez. I want Benavidez. I'm even willing to go up to 175 to chase him. And I'm not saying he's ducking or not ducking. All I'm saying is the things that you can apply Canelo to Benavidez, you can apply Benavidez to Morrell Jr. as well. But the reason that fighters generally do the weight class up move now is 1, they're too lazy to make the weight class. And 2, they're avoiding another fighter in the weight class that temporarily they don't want to fight. And this is what makes it confusing is generally when we see a fighter chasing another big fight, they're fighting in the weight class that fighter is in, number 1. And number 2, you don't generally see a fighter who's going to be in a mega fight on an undercard. And that's another thing that makes it confusing is you're trying to pitch this guy and there's a fight after that somebody bigger is fighting in. So you're fighting outside of the weight class and you're fighting on an undercard. That's just not a good pitch. It's all too confusing. I feel like, and I'm sure you feel like the same way, it needs to be simplified. And the WBC is going to be a WBC. WBC and Canelo, you talked about how they're not going to strip Canelo, but that shouldn't stop Benavidez from staying at 168 and yelling from the mountaintops, they're not stripping him. They're not stripping him. And that's unfair. And then you're going to be at that point, you're going to be more sympathetic to the audience. And the audience is going to start to call for this more. But you start to give them outs when you move to 175. You're fighting on an undercard. We got 2 interim belts at this point. What are we trying to do here? I don't get it.
I think this whole system that we got going on right now is all whacked out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The reality is this, man. Like, we've lost like the ability to think these things through. So when Muhammad Ali came back from his, like, I guess he was suspended or whatever by the Athletic Commission and because of the whole Vietnam situation. Okay. Like, people think, because you hear the story, you think he just came back and just immediately got a title shot because he was a former world champion and immediately fought like Frazier, like immediately, right? No, he had 2 fights. Jerry Quarry was one of those fights. So like, the reason I'm pointing that out is because we hear all these reasons why we have fans, Calix, talking like they're a matchmaker or a manager of a fighter when they make arguments why a fighter should do something or not do something, right? Why should Berlanga take a chance against Caleb? What if he loses and he loses out of the Canelo fight? Mm-hmm. Then that means he's not good enough to fight. He's not good enough to fight the champion. What happened to proving that you deserve a shot at the title? What happened to that? They pretend to do that with these stupid eliminators, but these eliminators are whoever they say, they're watered down, first of all, right? And they just decide which eliminator establishes the fucking, the mandatory now. They can maneuver this shit all they want. They could see mandatory for years. They don't care. Just keep putting them in eliminators. Like, we just don't have that concept anymore, right? We just don't. So it just is what it is. It's very frustrating for me to hear people in the boxing business and hear boxing fans argue that no, it's good the way we have it now. We're supposed to have 4 belts because it gives guys more opportunities to become world champion. Like, I don't want it to be easy to become a world champion. I don't want half of the boxers to be world champions. I think it should be hard to do it, and earning the title shot should be hard. And he should beat the top contenders before you earn the title shot. Mm-hmm. But that's no longer normal. But it is what it is. What are you going to do? So, and I bring that up because Morale and Benavidez, what do we keep hearing? Oh, okay, so these guys have to fight each other in order to fight Canelo? Like, you guys say that like it's a bad thing. Like they shouldn't have to do it. Like, why the fuck not? Why did he fight Andrade and not Morale? The same thing you guys do with Canelo. Well, you fought this guy. Why not Benavidez? I could do the same thing. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, and I was gonna say, you and I are both there, by the way, for Canelo Benavidez. We've been there. Fight that fight. Let's get the fight, right? But the problem that I'm having is, and look, Canelo has to take on some of the blame here. There's no doubt about that. This fight needs to happen. And we're all there, so make the fight. But this is the thing that troubles me about this is I've felt for a while now in the post-Golovkin era that Canelo doesn't really have any peers between 160 and 168. He has guys that he's going to beat. He stepped up to 175, fought Bivol. I've already said, I'm on record, I don't think anybody 175 South can mess with Bivol. He took that shot, lost it. And what happened, he's still the cash cow, right? And Bivol didn't necessarily become more popular off of that win. And this is the problem that I'm having is a lot of these fighters need to be building their name on their own, not in connection with Canelo. And a lot of these fighters over the past 5-6 years have become paralyzed as far as their career because they're just waiting in the wings for this payday. And then when they lose, they disappear. And I don't want to see that as a boxing fan. I want to see American stars. When I watch Benavidez fight now, it just seems to me at this point that he's being built up as the monster because of an association with Canelo in the same weight class. I don't think he's doing that based off of performances in the ring because when I watch him fight, I say, he's good. He's a good fighter. And he's a good fighter who can beat Canelo, by the way, based off of a stylistic matchup. He's a big fighter. He can overwhelm Canelo as far as output early in the fight, win early rounds, and win a decision. He can do that. But that doesn't make him a star. That's the lesson we should have learned by now, is beating Canelo doesn't necessarily automatically make you a star. It doesn't. And you should be going after it on your own, even without Canelo in the picture. And Benavidez, if he's everything people say he is, he shouldn't be bouncing around weight classes trying to pick off interim belts, and he shouldn't be fighting on undercards and co-mains. He should be bigger than that at this point if he's everything people say he is. If everything people say he is, he shouldn't be this dependent on Canelo. I don't give a damn if he beats Canelo or not. Get the fight. If you beat him, good. Nobody's going to lose sleep over that. But are you going to become a star after that? And that's the problem that I have, is this dude should be a star by now if he's everything people say he is. He shouldn't be bouncing around weight classes, picking off interim belts, and then fighting on Tank Davis's undercard in a card that probably did 200,000 pay-per-views at best. It's ridiculous.
Shout out to Remy Benavidez. Should have called WC 168-pound mandatory bluff. I think he should have. I think at this point,
me too.
it's serious. Like,
yes,
just go for it. And what's the response? It's not going to matter anyway. Then just do it, dude. Just do it. Like do it, and then you could say, "See, guys, I'm trying." You're supposed to put leverage things on your end. Like, look,
yes.
I'm doing everything I can. You can't say you're doing everything you can if you don't do it. Just do it.
Even if the end result isn't there, you get sympathy from the audience that you're trying to chase this fight down and you're doing everything possible. And this dude is just hoarding a belt. Do it. And he's not doing it.
Yeah. And look, I just want to say this one more point before we move on. After Muhammad Ali lost to Frazier, okay? This is all the fights he did. He went and fought for the NABF title, all right? It wasn't a big deal for Muhammad Ali. He did it, right? Then he fought Jimmy Ellis, Butler Mathis, right? Mac Foster, George Chuvalo, Terry Quarry, Alvin Lewis, Floyd Patterson in a rematch, who was also working his way back up. Okay, beat him there. Then he beat Bob Foster. Okay, Joe Bugner, Ken Norton, lost a split decision. Okay, fought Ken Norton again, won a split decision. He fought Ruby Lubbers. Then he fought Frazier in a rematch that he lost, and he won the rematch. And then he got his title shot against George Foreman. But now, because now if you say, hey, maybe these guys can fight each other while Canelo's fighting that guy. No, why? Why should they have to fight each other? And why would they do that? We can't do that. And then they have to be able to fight for the belts. And they don't. Like, it is what it is, bro. Right? But that's whatever to me. But that's a bygone era, by the way. So it is what it is. So we're not going to get that era back.
No.
We'll see what happens with all that. And I also think David Benavidez, he's doing a lot of interviews with people that are not really giving him pushback. He's doing a lot of interviews with people that a lot of them are anti-Canelo channels or they're not big Canelo fans. And to me, it's I don't know if he knows this. There's a lot of people that are a fan of both of you.
Yeah.
Right? So being anti-Canelo isn't really working as much as you think it is. And a lot of those people, okay, like a lot of the people that claim to be Benavidez fans, they don't really, it's not really that they're Benavidez fans. They just don't like Canelo.
Yeah.
A lot of those people.
If you had that many people, you wouldn't be fighting on undercards and you wouldn't be having to go to 175 to chase an interim belt. Like,
it just is what it is. Let's talk about Tank Davis. He knocks out Frank Martin. Calix, I made a post on Twitter that made Tank fans kind of mad.
It's not hard to do, by the way.
I mean, all I did was say and here's the thing. People are going to tell me, what do you care what Stephen A. Smith thinks, right? It's not that I care or value Stephen A. Smith's boxing opinion. There's some people that watch basketball tell me he don't know basketball either. I don't know, right?
True. Yeah.
But he probably knows more about basketball than boxing, though.
No doubt. Yeah.
Okay. So my thing is this. It's not that I value his opinion or anything like that. It's just that he has probably one of the biggest platforms that most people listen to, and people are going to listen to what he says, and he's doing a show by himself with no pushback. There's no Max Kellerman there, somebody else there to kind of give another perspective, right, on these podcasts that he does. So this is just me responding to Stephen A. Smith. And my simple message was, Stephen A. Smith just didn't give a fuck about Usyk beating Fury. Like, he literally said, yeah, he beat Fury and et cetera, et cetera. And then he went on to like talk about why it's terrible for boxing that Usyk won because we didn't get Joshua versus Fury, and never once did he talk about if he was impressed by Usyk's performance, if it was a great performance. It was a bad thing for boxing that happened. And then Canelo, he can't stop shitting out Canelo for fighting Munguia. Munguia? Who's Munguia? We don't want you to fight Munguia. And all this other shit, right? And then, but when it comes to Tank Davis, the way he's talking about Frank, after that win, you got to consider him top 3 pound for pound. He's one of the best fighters in the sport. It's time to give Tank his respect. And then he's talking, Calix, like impressed by the fact that Tank Davis put pressure and walked down Frank Martin. Usyk just walked down Tyson Fury, being outweighed by 40 pounds. You didn't give a fuck about it. But this one, yeah, wobble me now. And it's okay, whatever. My tweet was only saying, bro, you have a double standard. Look how you're talking about Tank. Look how you're talking about Canelo and Usyk. Tank hasn't even beat a top 5 fighter in years. Now, is it debatable if Frank Martin is top 5? Look, if you want to give Tank credit, you're going to make an argument that he's top 5. But my God, if you got to go hard on the paint to argue that your dude's fighter was a top 5, like if you're going that hard, isn't there a problem with your fighter's resume? Yep. Like you're telling me that there's no, because those same people are also saying, well, who has Shakur beat? You really think Shakur could beat Tank? Dude, he just fought Frank Martin. What are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
He just fought a 90s sitcom, and you want me to sit here and be like, whoa. You know what I mean? Nah, bro. They think Frank Martin was hot like the 90s sitcom was. Martin ain't that hot.
No.
I'm just saying, bro. He ain't a hit like that. And he looked like dog shit in his last fight, bro.
A lot of people thought he lost.
A lot of people thought he lost. And so, like, what are we doing here? Oh, and then, like, they never give a fuck about what the ring says. They're always shitting on the ring. Oh, the ring is racist. And nobody gives a shit about the ring this, the ring that. And all of a sudden, they're saying, oh, the ring has some top 5. Oh, now the ring's word is gospel because he's in the top 5 of the lightweights. Dude, I'll give you the top 5. Should Tank Davis be fighting top 5 guys? Or should he be fighting the best guys? What are we doing here? Well, why hasn't he fought any of the other champions? Why hasn't he fought the other top dudes over the years? Why hasn't he done that? So it is what it is. And another thing, Callis, one more thing. Another response I got was, he is top 5, and they would show me screenshots of the WBA having him number 1. So by that logic, Skull's number 1 then. He's a number 1 guy. Then Yildirim was a number 1 guy. Then everybody Canelo's fighting is a top 3 guy. Every single one of them. Because they're all ranked in the sanctioning body, top 2, 3, 1. Ryder was a number 1 guy by that stupid logic. But they don't watch boxing, so they don't know how that works. Right? And the other thing, another response I got was, one last one. Yeah, but Canelo's holding up all the belts. Tank isn't. That's the difference. First of all, to those Tank fans, that's contradicting the point the other Tank fans are saying that he is fighting the top guys and Canelo isn't. Right? Tank's fighting top contenders, a number 1 guy, and Frank Martin. Canelo's fighting nobodies like Munguia. Right? But you're telling me that it's okay for Tank to do it because he's not holding up all the belts. You Tank fans have a disagreement there. You guys got to congregate and figure out one argument, right? But how is Tank supposed to hold up all the belts if he never fights the other champions? Of course he's not going to hold up all the belts if he never fights the champions. That's my response.
Yeah, and another good point you've made to that is that division was held up before Canelo got to it. Nobody was doing anything in that division. Nobody was unifying. Nobody was fighting other champions or even mandatories until Canelo got to the division.
David's manager or promoter. It's promoter. Because a dude's going to come out and be like, oh, they said he's the manager. He's the promoter. Okay, his promoter. He never promotes anything. I never seen a Samson Lukowicz boxing card. Okay, but whatever. Right? He's a promoter. All right? Here. Promoter by name. Cool. Okay, he's the puppet promoter that they use to be the official promoter of Benavidez, but he's PBC just fucking owns his shit. It's whatever, okay? My point is this. His promoter, Samson Lukowicz, was out here, bragging about how he marinated the shit out of the fight with Benavidez for years because we're going to make it a big fight. You know what I mean? And when he's getting interviewed, he's being asked, like, oh, what's the secret sauce? Tell us the secret sauce. Tell us your secret on building up these fights, Samson. That sold like 100,000 buys after years of marinating it, right? But now all of a sudden, marinating something is bad for the sport. Right? Now it's a problem. I'm just like, what's going on here?
So first, let me talk about the positives of Tank because there are a lot of them. As I'm watching this fight, it's the same thing we've seen, right? He walks the tightrope. And as he's walking his tightrope, it's a tightrope of output and efficiency. When you have that low of an output, particularly at lightweight, this is lower than the average heavyweight light output. When you have that type of output at lightweight, particularly early in fights, you've got to knock guys out. You have to be highly efficient. You have to be highly efficient with power shots in particular in order to get guys out of there because you're giving up so many early rounds. And it happened again in this fight where he gives up the first 3 rounds, I thought anyway. I had him down 4-3 on my scorecard going into the 8th. Official scorecards had them all up 4-3 going into the 8th. To each his own. Close fight. But never in this fight did I feel like Tank was in danger of losing to Frank Martin. More on that in a minute. But it's the efficiency. He's a highly efficient fighter. And everybody is going to watch that D-style and say, that's the type of fighting that I love. Casuals and hardcores together alike are going to love that type of style because he wants to put dudes to sleep. Everything is with bad intentions. Every time he throws punches, it's like, those combination shots in particular. High IQ fighter as well. It's all there other than he's too economical, right? And I think that's the big reason he hasn't been in that big step up fight. I think it's a mixture of being mismanaged by Mayweather Promotions in particular. PBC always wants to keep things in house. So there's that too. There's that mixture of that. And then I also think that they see other top fighters out there and they say they could take advantage of that economical style, being that they have good chins and they're more active than these other fighters. And they're not going to wilt under Tank's pressure when he ratchets it up in the middle rounds, because what have we seen from his opponents up to this point is in those middle rounds, they wilt. They don't have the experience, the seasoning to deal with it. And Frank Martin, we saw that in this fight. There's a reason people call him a 30-year-old prospect. It's because this is only his third 12-rounder. And you would argue coming into this fight, he was possibly 1-1 in 12 rounders. He got a decision that may have been a gift, and he just wasn't ready for this moment. And I got to give Ring IQ credit. He said this on his live Sunday night. I was listening. No, it's much like late stage Mayweather. even Mayweather's detractors, I wouldn't even call them haters because we were bringing up good points. We're bigger fans of him, of Tank than his hardcore fans because they don't trust him to go out and fight the fights. We do. And that's not us trying to pull the rug from him if he loses. No, we trust you to go win these fights. We do. That's why we're asking you to do it. And we shouldn't be demonized to do it. But none of us are picking his opponents to upset him. How many times have you picked an opponent to upset Tank? It just doesn't happen. His detractors are all saying the same thing is it's another cherry pick and he's going to go in there. He's going to style on this guy. He's going to dance on this guy's face. Nobody was expecting anything different than what we saw on Saturday night. And that's what makes it, even though it's fun and exciting, and we've seen it before, though. It's a TV show we've seen.
I like to bet the 1-6-7-12 when I believe it's going to be a knockout. That's one of my favorite betting lines.
Yeah.
To me, I was like, 7-12 for sure. I was convinced.
Yeah.
Right. And the odds were trash because everybody knew.
Yeah.
The odds makers knew.
And the over-under was 7.5 rounds. And it came under by 1 second. So they nailed it. Even the odds makers were like, I mean, what do you want us to do? We all know what's going to happen. And that's my point is, even though he's a fun, exciting fighter, high IQ, he seems great, right? It's not going anywhere up to this point. And you can't demonize the fans for calling that out and saying, we want to see something different now. We said going into this fight, Frank Martin's not a step up. This is on par with who he's been fighting. And we expect him to win this fight. And that's what happened. We want to see something else at this point. And I think the positives here are due to the change of landscape, D-Style, I think we could see a cross-promotion fight next. I think we could see something different. I think the Lomachenko fight is realistic. And I think it could happen. And I think that's a hell of a fight. Because once again, it's clear that they aged him out. That is clear. They've aged him out. We've talked about that. That's an objective truth. They left a paper trail. It's all there. But two things can be true at once. You could age out Lomachenko, but still in 2024, 36 years old, that guy is still top 1, top 2, at worst, top 3 lightweight. And that's a step up for Tank. And him beating Lomachenko, if he does that, is the best win of his career. It's a career-defining win and the best win on his resume by far. It's not even close, and it's not even close.
Yeah, it's not even close. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's nuance, and that's the word, nuance. There's nuances to everything. Okay, that fight should have happened years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. 3-4 years ago, you would have got it when the fight was hot and it could have happened. You would, like at 130, they could have fought, and when Lomachenko moved to 135, they could have fought. You fought Gamboa, you know what I mean? Like, you could have fought Lomachenko. If you would have won that fight then, right, you would have gotten the credit Teofimo got.
Yep.
Okay, which was a lot. That's that. You're not going to get Teofimo credit for beating if you beat Lomachenko this time.
Yeah.
You're going to get the credit Haney got. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe more if most people actually feel you won. Most people don't really feel. I don't feel Haney really won that fight. And I do believe that most people that scored it for Haney, so some of them I think are genuine, but most of them really tried hard to give it to Haney for whatever reason. It is what it is. It's my opinion. And
even more so, D-Style, because if he wins, we all expect him to win by knockout. And if you knock out Lomachenko, I don't care what age, if you knock out Lomachenko,
you're going to get maybe, let's say he cleanly beats Loma, right? The credit you get is going to be between Teo and Haney. It's going to be between those two. Correct. So you're going to get credit, but you're not going to get an 800 credit. Mm-mm. You're going to get like what's a good credit, like 710. Like you're going to. Like, it's not going to be like, we're going to look at your credit and be like, I mean, it took you a while to make those payments now. You paid it. You made a payment on it, but man, it took you quite a while to pay it. You know what I mean? Like, okay. But that is my thing. And I'm going to say this. I think Loma has a shot in that fight.
I do too.
And here's the thing. All that I'm going to apply pressure, come forward, and he's going to fold. That's not going to work on Lomachenko. That's too elementary. I think Tank is more capable than what he showed against Frank Martin, but that's the point. He's not fighting guys that he feels any type of danger with. He's fighting guys that he knows he could give away the first few rounds to because he already knows what's going to happen. You cannot do that even with a Shakur. You can't do that with a Teofimo. You can't do that with a Lomachenko. We're going to see other wrinkles. We're going to see the skill of Tank being enhanced in those fights, in my opinion. We're going to see a better version of Tank come out in that fight, in my opinion. When we call for Tank Davis to step up in competition, it's because we're boxing fans and we want to see him fight the best. It's because we want it. Like how long have I been saying he knocks out Devin Haney?
Oh, wow.
I've been saying that forever. Like Tank Davis knocks Devin Haney out. No, you just want to see him fight Haney because Haney's big at 140. Like, dude, he fought Mario Barrios at 140. He could have fought Devin Haney at 140. And he would have won that fight. And and Ryan stole all his thunder. He would have gotten that thunder. And then nobody says anything because he just beat Devin Haney. Imagine if he made Devin Haney an offer he couldn't refuse after he won undisputed. I believe he would have won that fight. He would have been undisputed champion. Nobody could say nothing after that. But you let him go in, move along, or I don't know, whatever, bro. So I want to watch him fight the top fighters because I think he's a good fighter and he could win those fights.
Yeah.
Because I'm a boxing fan. I want to see the best fighters fight the best fighters. I don't want to see foregone conclusions on my television screen. Frank Martin was going to lose that fight. You know how I know? How many out there actually picked Frank Martin to win?
I don't know anybody.
Like what? Like, are you kidding me? You know it's a good fight when at least a certain amount of people are picking the other guy to win. Okay? One more topic, Alex. Liam Paro pulls off the upset. I knew it was possible, but it wasn't my pick. I didn't pick. I picked Matias to win. But I also said, and you and I both said, like the fact that Liam Paro, is a bigger underdog than the past few opponents. So that was a head scratcher to me. It didn't make any sense. And not only did Liam Paro prove that he shouldn't have been that big of an underdog, he proved. Like, obviously, he wanted to fight. Like he went out there and he outboxed Matias. He dealt with a biased ref, in my opinion. He was in hostile territory. He dealt with all those things and beat who many were calling the boogeyman of the division. What are your thoughts, Alex, on what happened and what transpired?
So, much like you just said, I'm watching the early stages of this fight, and I said the ref has it out. The ref clearly has it out for Liam Parro, and was acting as a bodyguard. And then another thing that concerned me, and it concerned me because, let me just preface this: I picked Matias to win the fight, but I saw a lot of value there in Parro plus 450, and I jumped on it. And I jumped on it pretty heavy. And then another one I did was Puello. We talked about how Gary Antoine Russell is overrated, right? And I jumped on Puello at plus 800. Never in the same weekend have I hit a plus 800 and plus 450. And I landed that over the weekend. So it ended up being a good weekend. But I was concerned about Puerto Rico, 10,000 fans, and they reacted to everything Matias did. Every single move Matias made, every punch he threw, they reacted to big time. And that concerned me that the judges were going to be impacted by that. And they weren't. The scorecards were good. Parro fought a hell of a fight, and he won the fight. We talked about the trends coming into this fight, right? The trends that worried me for Matias was homecoming fight. Homecoming fights can be traps. We saw that with Danny Garcia going down there and getting a gift decision against Herrera. We saw that with last year here in New Orleans, Prograis arguably losing to Zarilla and arguably getting a gift in that fight, but they both came out flat. These homecoming fights can be a lot of distractions, and these fighters could come out flat. Matias clearly came out a little flat. He's already a slow starter, and Parro took complete advantage of it. He's a tough fighter. He was a wild card coming in because at 24-0, with mostly domestic level experience, we don't really know who this guy is, but he comes in, he steps on it, and he takes the fight to Matias, and he wins going away. And it was beautiful performance by Parro. And now he's got a belt, and now he's positioned himself into even bigger fights. I told you this going into this fight. I thought if Parro had fought Prograis, which he was supposed to do, and he had to pull out due to injury, I thought if he was the opponent last year for Prograis in that fight in New Orleans, I think he would have upset Prograis. And I think that shows. I think he would have been in this position a year ago had he fought Prograis in New Orleans, and now he got that against Matias. This guy is a legit fighter. He's a real fighter, and now he's a champion, a legit champion. He went into the belly of the beast and took it from the boogeyman, right? This was another boogeyman that people built up, and another trend, D-Style, that people need to pay attention to is when the PBC fighters either fight cross-promotion fights or they step away and go to another promotional company, they tend to not look like the same fighter.
Yeah. Well, what happened to like when Matias was on PBC, and I'm sure like the idea of a Parro competing with him would be ridiculous, right? Oh, come on, that even though like it's a completely different continent and it's nowhere near Europe, like a lot of dudes still guys like Tim Zhu, Euro bums, like I'm like what?
Yeah.
But I guess, but it turns out that other promotional outfits have much better fighters. Actually, that's what it sounds like to me. The reality is that point is true. Another PBC fighter, it's the pattern, right? Signs with Matchroom, right? And then what happens? He gets outboxed and beat 8-4 my scorecard against Liam Paro.
Mine too.
And for Liam Parro to get that second win, by the way, because in the middle round we're a little shaky, but he got that second win. He took control. It was almost like he was a champion in that fight because he showed championship mettle, and that's what separates the champions and the contenders sometimes. How you finish those last 4 rounds, right? Especially the championship rounds, and he really took control of that fight. I think another fight I think about. Do you remember when Zab Judah fought Baltimore?
Yeah.
That was in New York, right? Was Zab was I never heard a fighter make so many excuses for things that had nothing to do with the fight, but he was like, "Oh, because Don King, he kept having me do the media, and he brings me to New York, and I just couldn't like really focus on my opponent, man." And it's like maybe there is just something to this to the effect of like these homecoming fights. Like,
too many distractions.
It is crazy.
He was already talking about his next fight before Parro, and that's just not going to work. He's too tough of a fighter, and he took advantage of it. And even without those distractions, you could argue Parro's just a better fighter. He's just a better fighter than Matias.
He's just a better fighter, that's for sure. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. D-Style Boxing, hit the subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified every time we come on live. It's all down there. If you're listening on the archive, make sure you like, and 100 likes is the goal. If you're watching on the live right now, the little 3 dots in the corner, you click on that. It expands down a little bit, and you see the like option. Make sure you hit that before you go. Liam Paro, Calix, where do you place him amongst Australian fighters, pound for pound, right now? 1, 2, 3, 4. Where do you got him?
I would say 3 behind Opataya and Zhu. Even without the belt, I feel like Zhu losing to Fundora, that was a tough break with the cut. And I would still put him ahead of Parro based off of the talent and the eye test. But Parro's right there. He's right there. He's top 3. If you want to put him 2, that's fine. That's fine. That guy can fight. He's a fighter. That's a real one.
Hey, what's like? Lennox says PBC is like the Bellator of man. Like, bro, like I'm just saying, like it's been happening a lot. Like they're not just losing, like they're losing bad. Like they're like really bad. So I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? Like it's, I know losing and winning happens in boxing, but there's a pattern here, right? And what else are we supposed to think?
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Like I'm just going by Like we know an NFL team ain't good when they keep losing all the games. Like it's just is what it is. But is there a guy that moved from PBC and just started wrecking shop like somewhere else? Does that ever happen?
Not that I know of. I think the exception to this rule could be Tank fight cross promotion fights and being successful. But once again, we need to see it.
I'm not delusional. I know what I'm watching when I fight Tank. Tank is a phenomenal talent. Okay. Mm-hmm. I think he's talented. All right. I think when he trains and he takes it serious, I think he's a beast. For a year I've been saying he'll knock Devin Haney out. But I also said, but he needs to actually do it. He actually needs to get in the ring and do it. Right. So I do agree with you. The exception would be Tank, but he needs to actually do it. Right. You can't just say it. You can't win these matches just because your fan base says that. Like Allerby, not Allerby, Setback does that all the time. Tank will beat him anyway. Why do you guys want to see it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's fighting guys that he's going to beat anyway already, right? So what are we doing? I get on Tank about fighting the top guys, right? Because I just feel like he could compete and beat a lot of those guys. That's why. And I'm a boxing fan. I want to see him fight the best. That's what that's about. Okay. No Kimbo Slice. Not all time Australians, obviously. But Paro is top 3 for sure. And some might even put a number 2 because he's coming off a win, right? Yep. But it's debatable. And then we're going to find out more about Parro because look, so he just beat Matias, right? Who I think is a good fighter. I think it's a great win. But then the question is, was he just kind of like a dude in PBC Island looking as good as he was? Is Parro going to look the same when he fights somebody else, right?
Yeah.
So, but look, he did destroy Montana Love. He did, and now he beat Matias.
He's legit.
I think he's legit. So I think Parro has a shot against even Devin Haney, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too.
Any final words, Carlos, before we wrap this one up?
Just to piggyback what you said on Tank, everything looks great, but it's a troubling sign. It's a red flag when you have no unifications and you've gone after Reggie Belt in the past. And on top of that, in 8 years throughout 3 weight classes, hasn't fought a lineal champion yet. And that's not good. So hopefully that starts to turn and we start to get the big fights because the program needs to change. This TV show that we've been watching for years, it needs to change if people are going to remain as entertaining as it is. If people are going to remain attracted to it, people want to know why the pay-per-view buys seem to be stuck somewhere around 200,000. If Ryan Garcia is not involved, that's because people already know what's going to happen as we go into the fight. And that's what we're missing is that feeling of, I don't know what's going to happen this time. This guy seems to be able to take a great punch and has a lot of activity and is a great boxer. Things may be different this time. I think that's what people are missing. And what's the missing ingredient to the Tank Davis sauce right now, is the different thing, that different feeling. Like this one can be different. And hopefully we start to get that change next. And I guarantee you, this is not just us trying to keep this guy down. It's not that. We're just boxing fans saying, hey, we'll be fans of this guy if he just adds this last ingredient. We're fans. We're here. And hopefully we get that. There's no bad intentions to this at all.
You notice that there was one thing that I noticed for the first time in a long time, or maybe ever in a Tank fight, no Floyd Mayweather around. Yeah. No Floyd Mayweather to be seen. Tank would be asked questions and he would turn around and look at Floyd to get permission. And
true.
Like all that is just gone. No more Floyd. Oh, we're not going to work with a promoter. Why would we make other promoters rich and all this other dumb stuff? And I'm just tired of it. I think with Kermel Moden, he hogs the spotlight of this young kid at his first post-fight press conference.
Yeah.
He takes over the podium because a reporter had the audacity to ask Moden, like, how does it feel to be working with one of the best of all time?
Yeah, one of the best.
Yeah, like, what do you mean? And it was scripted too. The whole thing was stupid, bro. Like, you're gonna say this, I'm gonna go up there and you're gonna help me prove my point why I'm the best of all time. Like, it's just so it's sad from the reporter's perspective, from Floyd's side. The whole thing's just sad, bro. Like, like this, when you got to go around and beg people to call you the best of all time, like, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it is what it is. But I am glad that Tank is no longer working with Floyd Mayweather.
Me too.
I am happy about that. I just don't think Floyd, from our perspective as fans, helped us get the best fights. I think as a fighter, he has the eye for boxing, and I do think he had a role in some of the opponents because he knew there would be easy wins for Tank.
Yep.
And that's really what it was. Except one guy, Isaac Cruz.
Cherry pick gone wrong, huh? Cherry pick gone wrong.
It was a cherry pick gone wrong. Yeah. I think they thought, oh, he'll be easy to hit. We'll knock him out. It didn't turn out that way,
Yep.
But that's that. With that said, guys, we appreciate everybody for tuning in. That is the show, and we are out of here. See you next week. Peace.
God bless.
You've reached the No Fanboy Zone. You've reached the No Fanboy Zone.